All right, so thus far, mom certainly riding with the defendant, her son. We also heard from his children, who also seem to be supporting him, testifying in a way that helps, and were called by the defense. The question is, how much does that move the needle? Let's bring in our guest this hour, joining us, criminal defense attorney John Day. John, great to see you as always. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. And that's my question for you. You know, we see the two children, and this is not always the case in these cases. We've seen enough to know that sometimes the children aren't in support of the father under these types of circumstances. The mother certainly riding for her son. How much does this type of testimony move the needle to a jury, knowing that there's this relationship?
Well, thanks for having me. This is what the defense is aiming for, is to humanize the defendant, to show that this is not some monster, that he's got children, his mother is supporting him, the children are supporting him. The key question is, as you raise it, what is the effect on the jury? Do they sit there and listen to the mother, for example, and say, well, of course the mother is going to try to make him look good, try to humanize him. But even if it convinces one or two or three of the jurors, then the defense has done its job to try to make the defendant, in the eyes of the jury, look like he is not a monster, not someone capable of murdering his wife.
Really, part of what they're doing on the stand, John, is really bringing home this idea that there were some issues in the relationship, clearly, but there were some health issues. And that's a big thing for the defense, because obviously they're claiming that her death was not caused by the defendant, but some sort of seizures, some kind of problem she was having. They talk about her having headaches. Mom talked about her having chest pains. Again, all those don't lead directly to then having some sort of seizure. But again, they're not just testifying to humanize. They're going even further. John, they're talking about, we support this idea that maybe mom had health issues that could have led to her death.
Right, and for the jury, it's going to come down to, I mean, they're going to take this into consideration, but, and the jury in this case, it's really going to come down to forensic evidence. It's going to be a battle of forensic experts. Jurors like forensic evidence because it seems neutral. It doesn't seem like it belongs to one side or the other. Of course, both sides are going to try to claim it as theirs. But in this particular case, it really is going to come down to the science. It's going to come down to pathology and come down to what the medical experts say. And the defense is trying to establish, here's the framework. If there were illnesses, if there were problems, you can believe our story that this was not a murder and this was just a tragic accidental death.
Yeah, unfortunately, the forensics don't necessarily work on behalf of the defendant, with the bruises on the neck and the claim of asphyxia being the cause of death. All right, John, stand by. We're going to take a break here, folks. Of course, we'll have more of the mother's testimony on the other side. Keep it here on Court TV. All right, so earlier I mentioned that there were two separations. Sounds like mom's not sure that there was one in 2015. That might have been the one that she was referring to, so maybe only one separation. Still didn't come away with any specific on that. Let's bring back in our guest still with us, criminal defense attorney John Day. John, quickly, what did you make of that cross-examination?
Well, you know, the defense is hoping that mom is going to humanize the defendant, but here's what happens. When you have a mom who is so supportive of her son through an illicit affair and comes across as saying, basically, I back my son up no matter what he does, I think it loses a lot of effectiveness for the defense, because clearly this mom was not exerting any sort of moral control or outrage over the illicit affair, and it seems like she would just back up her son no matter what. So does that help the defense? I don't think so.
No, I think it was a great job bringing it out. I agree 100%. Once you said that, I said, well, they're going to just throw her testimony to the side. And I think it infects the other family members' testimony as well in some way. That's at least the way I look at it. But here's the thing that I thought might have been helpful. In this situation, he already began introducing Cynthia into the family. I think that's helpful for the defense. You know, it was this affair, but he was starting to sort of bring her around the family. If you're doing that, are you also planning murder on the other side?
Well, yeah, and that is a point that the prosecution is going to have to deal with. But still, you've got the sense that everybody in the family is going to back him up. So really, what's the value of their testimony other than to say, whatever he does, we're with him all the way? That doesn't really get the defense to a point where there's reasonable doubt about the murder.
Yeah, and I would have to agree, John. But still worth bringing them in anyway, as they still are supporting the father, says something good about him. All right, John Day, thank you so much for being with me this hour. Always appreciate it. Folks, we'll take a break here, but after that break, we're going to head to Utah, where a motion hearing is expected to get underway for shooting suspect Tyler Robinson. His defense team is expected to argue to have the entire prosecution disqualified. Keep it here on Court TV.